Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be diving deeper into Kanika Batra, starting with a video another creator made on her. Now, her video was posted, I think, 2 days before mine, 3 days, and it would appear that their feud started on TikTok, with them attacking, or with Kanika attacking her kids. So let's do it.
Kanika Batra, the day you decided to cross me and my children was the day that you decided to do the worst thing possible for yourself. I'm going to do the one thing that you can't stand, the one thing that you've been fighting your whole life to avoid. I'm going to figure you out because, see, you did the very thing that not only was anticipated, but is very repetitive when it comes to people who try to come for me, which is no research. Here's the
Oh, now to give this one some backstory to who she is, Roma Army. She is a men's rights activist. As odd as that sounds. Hello, Maxwell, and hello, Roger. Now, I'm not sure if she gives an intro to herself in this video, but that is who this is. Her URL is Roma Army Men's Rights. So she's unique. I like her so far.
The thing, Kanika. It would probably be your best interest to log off and quit watching this video. But let's be honest, the narcissist inside you won't allow you to. So you're going to watch this entire video, and by the end of it, you're going to feel like nothing. This is the reason why you're upset with me, right?
Well, Roger, I think I may have figured her out a bit too. Definitely. She's definitely, the narcissism is what guides her more than the fact she's a sociopath. Her NPD definitely overrides her ASPD. Hello, Gray. Welcome. Hello, Dana T. Yes, I am alive. I am alive. Despite my best efforts.
Because I pointed out the fact that you make damaging videos like this.
Socio and psychopathic women do not put men on pedestals. Validate him using extreme triangulation. Last and most savage is taking a huge dig at his masculinity.
For somebody who boasts about being a narcissist, it sure didn't do you any favors. The last thing you want to look is stupid, uneducated, and delusional. To save your brain cells the trip to heaven, I've decided to make a little game out of her video. I decided to count how...
That is like some sorcery right there with makeup and filters. How she goes from that to looking like an actual Barbie doll. And I did some research on her. You know, she's like 5'1". She's this 5'1" blonde little ball of evil. And for some reason that makes me like her more. I don't know why.
How many times she had to stop and start her video.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath. It's time to take down incel bootlicker Roma Army. Ms. Chloe Sunderland made a recent attack on me. Everything she said about me was wrong and defamatory. She thought I was Russian, for God's sake. She has a following of 1.2 million incels, and she makes it a habit to attack other women with extreme misogyny. Currently, a petition is going around trying to get her removed from social media because of her virulent misogyny and hate crimes. I'm not going to judge Miss Sunderland by my standards. I'm going to judge her by the manosphere standards, which she so adores. First
Oh, wow, the manosphere standards. All right. Oh, hello, Eggy Toast. Welcome.
of all, she's a sex worker. Doesn't that make you impure? She's 24 and has had 2 children by 2 baby daddies. I'm not saying this is wrong. You're saying this is wrong based on your own standards.
Well, it's not exactly advised to do that. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it.
Not only that, but she's proud of beating her infant daughter for seducing adult men. She's 3 years old. She defends men tooth and nail. The only...
Dana, this is Kanika Batra, and the other one on the right here is Roma Army. Now, Kanika Batra is the person I made a video on recently. She's a diagnosed sociopath, and she claims that she's a good person because of the choices she makes. But she just casually says some of the most horrible things possible in her videos. And yes, Ian Foote was terminated. Now, how I found her is quite an interesting story. Ian Foote found her first and made a response video telling her to unalive herself. And so I followed his trail from there, and I actually found that video. And it was the video that I put in my video. Or he was talking about how she gaslit her ex into thinking they had never dated because she had amnesia. You don't buy it? I think she's definitely a narcissist.
Men she's known are the ones that have sliced her head open. She can't be a trad wife. She's got tattoos all over her. And she's had these babies out of wedlock. It's funny that she comes from Bucharest, Romania. She attacked my looks, but I'm not going to sink to her level. By comparison, I fit the manosphere standard pretty well. I'm a married woman. She keeps insisting that I'm alone and I live with my parents. I live in a completely different state to my parents. I am still childless, so I'm not used up. She claims that I've had a lot of surgeries that I have not had. I have not had my nose done.
See, I don't know about that. You definitely look like you've had a nose job. I mean, at least. Like everyone in my premiere before was commenting on her nose.
Indian lips, and naturally, it's called a filter, my friend. And sure, I do use makeup. Most women do. Also, she claims I have implants, but they're real and they're spectacular. Everything she said is considered a crime in Canada. In her local jurisdiction, this would be counted as libel. She's just started another TikTok after being banned, and it is growing rapidly with incels whose feet she likes to lick. This is her 6th account, by the way. I am very pleased with what I have achieved. I have helped women escape abusive relationships. I have helped gay men escape homophobia. And what has she achieved? Attacking.
Now, I want to say I have yet to see anything with her supporting gay men at all. Now, she's definitely big into the feminist scene and supporting women, but I haven't seen anything at all for gay men.
Vulnerable women online. So you guys decide. Who do you think's in the right here?
I always feel really bad for people when they try to come for me but struggle to even formulate a proper sentence. If it takes you 32 cuts to say what you're trying to say to me, I don't really think that you're on my level, especially considering you spouted that entire.
Now, this is what she looks like. This is, I guess, is what she looks like without too much makeup on. Like, this is the most accurate photo I've ever seen without all these filters on. Like, it's magic how she goes from looking like that to looking what she does in her videos.
Entire false, lukewarm argument, all based off of you not doing enough research. You can always pick the person who lacks the most intelligence by their willingness to be so quick to go to personal attacks and low blows.
It's time to take down incel bootlicker Roma army. Ms. Chloe Sunderland made a recent attack on me.
Whenever a feminist is called out on her toxic, dehumanizing behavior, her first defense mechanism is to play the victim card. Because feminism has failed women, it's taught us that the easy go-to golden ticket of getting out of trouble is, I'm a victim.
She thought I was Russian, for God's sake.
Flashback.
Kanika Batra character. I don't know if she's Russian. I don't know what she is.
End of flashback.
She has a following of 1.2 million incels.
If you care about the male homeless rate, the suicide rate, about men being abused, about little boys being victimized, and if other men care about that along with you, you're always labeled as the incel queen and the incel army. Incels are perceived as lonely, violent, angry. Nobody wants to be labeled those things. It doesn't take somebody with some brain cells and the ability to do some research to see that that's not what I'm about.
And she makes it a habit to attack other women with extreme misogyny. Currently, a petition is going around trying to get her removed from social media because of her virulent misogyny and hate crimes.
I don't know why I'm surprised, considering feminists have always considered it misogyny, even when you call out.
Where's she getting the hate crime thing from? She just called it a hate crime.
Pedophiles, women who sexually harass other women.
I think that if she's in Canada, it's still not. This wouldn't be a hate crime still though.
Women who accuse men of being pedophiles, women who brag about being predators, and mothers who refuse to let their dying children see the father. I already did a video on this. That petition that you found that you're basing all of these claims on, yeah, the girl who...
That's a very good point, Roger. That's a very good point. If they all look the same, then yes, how will you ever find anybody?
made that. I'm currently in a legal battle with her to get it
I
removed.
mean, that extends the plastic surgeries too, because a lot of these plastic surgery women, after they're done with all of their replacements, like look at Ariana Grande. She went from looking like an actual human to looking like one of these plastic models that you see on the runway.
Moved because I have an overabundance of proof to show that those accusations were not only false, but she knew that it was false. And you just repeated it.
I'm not going to judge Miss Sunderland by my standards. I'm going to judge her by the Manosphere standards, which she so adores.
Yeah, she is. I think she's way better looking than Kanika, that's for sure. I mean, I'm not a big fan of tattoos on women, but she still looks good.
You would really think that if you were going to make a 2-minute plus video on somebody, that you would do at least 2 minutes plus research on somebody. You've got me and this community all wrong, considering the majority of us are liberal, pro-choice, pro-trans inclusive.
First of all, she's a sex worker. Doesn't that make you impure?
She bragged about her Indian lips. She's very proud. She's very proud of them.
Trust me, sweetheart, you're not the only one who wishes that my Patreon was full of me squatting over the kitchen cabinets and the toilet playing hide the household products and the household vegetables up my cooter for $3.99. And again, if you did any research, you wouldn't have embarrassed yourself this bad.
She's 24 and has had 2 children by 2 baby daddies. I'm not saying this is wrong. You're saying this is wrong based on your own standards.
If you were never taught right from little to love yourself, if you were right from little put in dangerous situations where your little brain was fighting to survive rather than grow and learn, it kind of becomes difficult to grow into a young adult who knows how to.
See, I'm glad you said that, because she also denies having any work done. She's had no surgeries, no plastic surgeries at all. It's all filters, it's all makeup. I don't know. I just know that she doesn't look anything compared to her other photos we've seen with a lot less filters. Like, she looks like a whole different skin tone.
Love and respect themselves. That's something you have to learn. Something I didn't know at 19 when I conceived my first child. Having that child, choosing to raise it out of poverty into success, that's not weakness. And choosing to have a baby 6 years later, that's also not weakness either.
Not only that, but she's proud of beating her infant daughter for seducing adult men. She's 3 years old.
Is this your husband, Kanika? Jeffrey Epstein sympathizer? In fight to exonerate Jeffrey Epstein, this is the kind of things that your husband had to say about actual victims of sexual exploitation. You asked for it. Some went back for 4 years. Most girls lied about their ages. No rape kits taken. I would really like to highlight this. You asked for it. How can somebody ask for something that never happened? Is this your website? Cinderella's Revenge. Since you seem to be so concerned about child safety, is this you encouraging a minor child who is experiencing abuse at home to commit murder? I can't diagnose anybody, but it sounds like he's got narcissistic sociopathic traits, and I want you to be protected before you do anything. Personally, if I were in this situation, I would keep a weapon, probably a knife, and kill him in an attack when his guard is down. With all due respect, if you ever repeat anything about my child out of your mouth again, I will sue you for every single dime that you have.
She defends men tooth and nail. The only men she's known are the ones that have sliced her head open.
Nothing radical feminists have ever said has shocked me. However, it does.
Now, I've done some more research on Cinderella's Revenge, and it looks like it reminds me a lot of incel forums. Honestly, it's very sad. Like, most of the people on there are very, very lonely, very pathetic. They're clearly having a lot of issues in their lives. That's probably why they're going to a diagnosed sociopath for help. I know there's this subreddit that Kanika was targeting. It only had like 7 people online when I went to look at it. Where that's what they do, is they take stuff from this website and put it on the subreddit. The Snark Kanika Batra. And while looking at that, it's really not worth digging too much more into that site. It's just an incel forum, but for women.
Surprise me to hear you say that you've helped women overcome abusive relationships, and then hear you say something so grotesque about me, a survivor of
Well, she targeted that subreddit that only had 7 people online. Like, she was posting about it in the paid section of Cinderella's Revenge. So, what exactly is her problem? She has over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. I don't know. She's married now. She says in one video that she makes dating profiles specifically to target married men.
domestic violence and someone who fled it at only 19 years old the first time it happened in front of the newborn baby. The only men that I know are ones that have bashed my head open. There are women who stay and hope that the man will change and she can fix him, and she traumatizes her child, creating the same type of sociopath just like you.
Trad wife. She's got tattoos all over her. And she's had these babies out of wedlock. It's funny that she comes from Bucharest, Romania. She attacked my looks, but I'm not going to sing to her level. By comparison,
Well, Roger, she was also big on TikTok, so I think there is some level of overlap there. But it's possible. Her viewer count is pretty good.
I fit the manosphere standard pretty well. I'm a married woman.
You are married to a man who believes that little girls getting raped deserved it. You can say that you didn't participate or you're not with all that, but I have evidence of otherwise. So if you would like to explain that to the feminists that you're tricking with all your books and your empowerment speeches, the majority of women out there don't like narcissistic abusers.
She keeps insisting that I'm alone and I live with my parents. I live in a completely different state to my parents. I am still childless, so I'm not used up. She claims that I've had a lot of surgeries that I have not had. I have not had my nose done. I have Indian lips and natural.
Notice how she said, I have not had my nose done.
It's called a filter, my friend. And sure, I do use makeup. Most women do. Also, she claims I have implants, but they're real and they're spectacular. Everything she said is considered a crime in Canada. In her local jurisdiction, this would be counted as a libel.
I'm sorry if you think.
Hold on now. Wouldn't it be slander? Slander spoken, libels written?
That legal intimidation is going to work on me, but feeling personally offended by an observation that anybody with 2 working eyes would make isn't liable for suing.
And it is growing rapidly with incels whose feet she likes to lick. This is her 6th account, by the way. I am very pleased with what I have achieved. I have helped women escape abusive relationships. I have helped gay men escape homophobia.
Well, if she is a sociopath comorbid with being a narcissist, that would make sense. Her whole persona would be fake. Because sociopaths only go surface deep. Everything about them has to be manufactured beforehand.
When you say that you've helped women escape bad relationships, are you referring to this minor child that you encouraged to kill her abusive stepdad?
The only men she's known are the ones that have sliced her head open.
And when you say escape homophobia, did you just cure somebody of experiencing homophobia?
And what has she achieved? Attacking vulnerable women online. So you guys decide, who do you think's in the right?
What have I achieved, Miss Kanika? Despite being born in an orphanage and rotting there for the first 2 years of my life, despite facing abuse and having my virginity taken from me at the age of 4 years old, despite bouncing around from social services, experiencing more abuse, domestic violence, more bad situations that nobody should ever have to live through, despite all that, I am successful. You see that award back there? That's called an achievement. It's called success. I may have tattoos. I may be a solid 2, but at the end of the day,
Oh, you're more than a 2. Come on now. Am I an incel? No. Look at my channel. Oh yeah, Roger already beat me to it. Yeah, no, I can get as many crazy women as the rest of us. Maybe a few extra crazy women.
Confidence that it takes to walk around looking like me is the confidence that you wish that you had. It's the confidence that you will never have. And it's the confidence that you regret that you don't have, which is the reason why you wear so much makeup. It's the reason why you use the filters, because let me tell you something. A confident woman doesn't need to hide herself. A confident woman isn't afraid to show the world who she is, rather than flip flopping. You have pictures with young girls all over the internet. You have the nerve to bring up mine and your husband, and you think that Jeffrey Epstein is innocent. Kanika Batra, if there's one thing that I'm certain about, it's that you're going to go to sleep tonight knowing wholeheartedly that you are worthless. You are nothing but an impurity on this earth. And I feel bad for you because you are a sociopath, and sociopaths are created. They're created through experience, trauma, and abuse. But you and I, we're not too different, because that's something that I experienced myself. The difference between you and I, though, is that I chose to do something positive with my trauma and my hurt, and you chose to use it to weaponize.
Yeah, those are her books, Kanika Batra's book. Now, Honey Trap is I think, her most popular one. And the rest of these are weird. Feminist Visions and Queer Futures in Post-Colonial Drama. Worlding Post-Colonial Sexualities, Publics, Counter-Publics. Like, what in the world?
Other people, victimize them, and teach women how to bully, berate, and abuse men. A real feminist would never mock a woman for leaving an abusive relationship at only 19 years old, making it out of poverty, and truly becoming successful, something that you haven't tasted yet. Sure, you've written 4 books that nobody reads, but at the end of the day, that's not what success is. It's happiness, and I can see through your Snapchat filters and your pounds of makeup that you're not happy. I know women like you. I've been around them my whole life. You thought that you would bring up my daughter and the domestic violence because you
Yeah, I didn't think that was. That confused me for a second when I was reading it.
thought that that was a soft spot for me. But the difference is that there's nothing soft about it, because I know who I am, and I've gone through blood, sweat, and tears to get where I am, and nobody can take that away from me. Kanika Batra, you have nothing to offer to society. You are worthless, and I hope that one day you realize that you don't have to be this way. You don't have to live your life shoveling out shit to other people just because you couldn't handle the baggage that was thrown on you. We don't get to choose what happens to us in our life, but we get to choose what comes of it. You, ma'am, are nothing compared to me, so don't ever try to compare yourself to me.
Now, following this is when her TikTok got taken down, and Roma Army is taking credit for it, which we'll pull this up next.
Good morning. I haven't even hopped in the shower or brushed my hair yet, but I just wanted to jump on here and say thank you to the Roma Army, my community. Kanika Batra, her TikTok account was taken down, her website is under review, and the last thing now is just her YouTube channel. Of course, she made a new TikTok account claiming that the reason why she got banned is because she was advocating for mental health. Couldn't possibly because she made a bunch of grotesque allegations about a 5-year-old. Anyways, I just wanted to thank you guys so much, because you guys really showed me that not only do you have my back, but you're able to deal with serious situations in a mature manner, which is not going to somebody's page and getting up their engagement, but just merely reporting and blocking, because women like
All right, now, following that, like I said, now targeting her YouTube channel, she's uploaded a new video. It's like she's been absent for a while, and now after all this controversy starts going on with these videos being made about her, she comes out with another video, which we'll watch. It was uploaded, well, when I found it was 6 minutes ago. It was just before I went live. Diagnosed sociopath. I have no guilt, empathy, or remorse.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and I'm going to explain what it's like to have no guilt, empathy, or remorse. Someone please tell me why having empathy is such a good thing. Apparently, it makes you a good person automatically. But I have cognitive empathy. I know exactly what you're going through, and I think that's sufficient. I don't need to take on your burdens. By society standards, I may be an evil person. I don't do things.
Ooh, evil. She used the word evil. Maybe she watched our video. That's what I'm thinking. Is that because she targeted that subreddit that only had, like I said, 7 people online when I looked at it? Is that she's just constantly obsessed with everything being said about her. I have had people in the comment section of my videos that are like her flying monkeys defending her. I'm thinking that she probably shared it on her elite section of her website or something, and that's why they all started coming at once. That's how I know it was shared somewhere.
The right way, and I don't necessarily care about a lot of people. What I do care about are those close to me. But
Almost all of them, like 95%.
everyone else, if they get in my way, I will take them out, and I don't care what society has to say about that. I don't necessarily trust these super empaths because empaths have very selective empathy. And dark empaths can use empathy against you in a number of ways, particularly those of you they don't like as much. I have seen people crying on the street. It does nothing to me. I feel absolutely nothing. And I'm not sure if you do. I don't know if that's a normal thing. It just doesn't concern me. It's not my problem. I do my fair share of philanthropy and not.
I mean, I would say it concerns me. I mean, it's not my problem, yes, but I'd still say it concerns me. It's a symptom of society as a whole not being in good shape. Kind of saddens me that they're in, the street crying.
Because society tells me to. I have a certain range of causes that I genuinely care about, including the rights of women and shelters for those who have experienced SA and DV. So I will donate to those charities, but random homeless people, I don't really give a shit about. On a scale of 1 to Patrick Bateman, I'm probably a 7. I don't mean the scene where he murders the homeless person. Guilt is a control mechanism set up by society to punish you for doing things that benefit yourself. I think it's a very toxic and unnecessary emotion. I don't feel guilt. I have never felt guilt once in my life for anything that I've done.
It's interesting how you say it's a toxic to negative emotion, but you also will say in your videos how your poor impulse control, your lack of guilt has constantly blown up in your face and caused you problems. But you're still advocating for other people to be like you, basically.
It is a foreign experience to me. But the way that other people explain it to me, why would you want to feel that? Why would anyone think this is a healthy emotion that they should be feeling? Maybe you guys can explain it to me in the comments because I just don't get it. I don't need guilt to force me into being kind. Guilt doesn't hold me back from backstabbing people I need to in order to climb the corporate ladder. This gives me a benefit in life that other people do not have. It is an advantage. You may not see it that way. The one thing I don't really talk about a lot is that I have very dark thoughts. I have had dark thoughts since I was a child, and I didn't actually understand that people did not have the same thoughts. I don't know if this is caused by ASPD, but these are very intrusive thoughts. And thankfully, I don't indulge them because that would be really bad for society. Let me just.
I think you do indulge them, though. I think that the advice you give on your website is like you fantasizing in your mind and then just putting it out there as advice.
Tell you that. Maybe then I would be Patrick Bateman. And I'm also prone to violence and manipulation. Of course, I am a small woman. I can't really take on huge physical fight, but I can psychologically manipulate.
Now, I do think that's probably plays into her manipulation. She's 5'1", she's very tiny. She probably was just a little hellion throughout all of her life. And everyone thinks because she's short and blonde, she just gets away with it for a long period of time. No one can see her as anything but innocent.
Manipulate and destroy someone if I set to do so. But this is not a regular occurrence, and this is only done when absolutely.
If anything, as she ages and her looks start to fade, that's going to be when people stop being susceptible to that. It's the halo effect, where you think if someone's attractive that they must also be a good person, which is not the case.
Necessary. Here's the thing that people find the weirdest. I don't have empathy for myself either. I don't have empathy for my future self or my past self. What's happened in the past is gone. It doesn't exist to me. What is coming up in the future also doesn't concern me. And this is why I don't have anxiety. It doesn't mean that I can't think about the future. It just means I don't attach any emotions to it. Remorse is an emotion that I also think is entirely useless and provides no substance to society. Once something has been done, it's not going to be undone because you feel bad about it, because you think your remorse is overwhelming. Now, when I think of things that I've done, I know that they weren't necessarily good things and that I should have made better decisions, but what's happened is in the past.
Well, I understand. That sounds like regret more than guilt. And I think regret actually is more beneficial than guilt. Long term. So, I mean, you're not wrong there. It's just all of your other behaviors are why you keep having problems.
I don't think about the past. I don't care about the past. I have no emotions that link me back to that memory. So remorse is something that does not affect me at all. And I see what people experience when they buy something that they shouldn't have, or they go out and cheat on their partner and they realize, oh, that was probably a bad decision. Yeah, it was a bad decision, but what are you going to do
Hello, Ariel. Welcome.
about it? You're going to dwell about it? Is that going to help you? Is that going to help anybody? Absolutely not. What
Hello,
is the point
Juicy.
of this? I would love to hear your thoughts. Please feel free to tell me if you agree or disagree with me. But I think not having empathy, guilt, and remorse has led me to become a very successful person in life. I have achieved things that I would have never achieved if I was worrying about the cause I had on other people. I wouldn't have taken risks that were so wild, but I achieved incredible outcomes. So
Now, I will notice something else in this video. She's using less cuts. She's actually trying to speak in coherent sentences because she got called out for having 1 million cuts in her TikTok.
tell me, do you still want to have empathy, guilt, and remorse?
All right. Up next, we're going to look up how she became a sociopath. So we're going to hear about her childhood. Or at least how she believes she became a sociopath.
I became a sociopath, or I am a sociopath because of certain wiring and because of the circumstances in which I was raised. Hello.
Mic testing. Kanika, you look beautiful, but you smell really bad.
So do you. Hey guys, it's Kanika. Welcome back to my channel. I should probably say that to myself because I've been gone for 4 months. When I told you all I'd be gone for less
You notice she looks different in like almost every single video.
than a month, but we'll get into that. Please make sure you like and subscribe. It really
Like she recreates her appearance every few months.
helps me if you do subscribe. That makes me able to keep giving out content and sharing my view on things. Also, I just want to say that I did my own makeup today, so if I look shitty, it's because I did it. I can't really be trusted with this sort of stuff. I don't know anything, but don't blame my makeup artist because she's not responsible for this at all. So I've been gone for 4 months. Let's address that. It's been kind of a very hectic sort of time. I've had lots of stuff going on. So my book got published. My father had brain surgery. My partner's grandmother has not been feeling great. And we also got 2 new kittens, which were...
I don't like her either. Her dating advice is going to create so many men who hate women. I guarantee it, because she's just encouraging women to just treat men as disposable and to just basically to manipulate them, to psychologically fuck them up. And I hope to God that her website eventually does go down. I heard it was under review. I think that's something that Roma Army had set up, that her website's now under review. I think that website is very dangerous.
It was really, really great. And I've spent a lot of time just bonding with them. And you'll get to meet them at the end of this video. So today I wanted to talk to you about how I became a sociopath. I think that's a bit of a...
Well, that's the thing. most of her comments section is positive. Like, she gets very good reception on just about everything she makes, even when she's saying about horrible things she did. Some of that is probably a bit of morbid curiosity, but I think if she starts going out and defending Jeffrey Epstein and all of that starts getting out on YouTube, that's going to be when people turn against her. But she's had it very filtered. You know, everything on her social media, like her Instagram, is all like she looks like an Instagram model. Nothing about like her books are promoted, but nothing about her controversies. All her controversies up until now were stuck on TikTok. And now that her TikTok is down, she's starting to, I guess, address it casually in her videos.
Questionable phrase, because I think that nobody really becomes a sociopath because of certain things that happen to them, but that it's just an amalgamation of nature and nurture, and it's just something you are, unfortunately. But I can kind of explain the setting in which I grew up and came to realize.
Like, actually, her content is so well curated. If you go to any one of her social medias, they're very disconnected. You wouldn't know about the others unless you started clicking on links.
That this is how I am. I've been reading through comments quite often, even though I've been posting. There's a couple of camps that you guys stay in. So there's people who support me for coming out and like talking about these issues publicly, because not many people do, which is understandable because of the stigma, and you know, it's just really hard sometimes. Then there's people who say I'm not actually a sociopath because I don't really fit the stereotype of it all. And then there's the people who think sociopaths should be locked on an island somewhere away from the rest of society because they've faced sociopathic or narcissistic abuse. And those are really heartbreaking for me, because I know plenty of people with ASPD and NPD who are just trying to get better, and they just want relationships that will help improve them and make them feel loved, but there's just so much hatred for them without them doing anything, just for existing. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I grew up. My family is a nuclear family. I have a brother and I lived with my parents. They didn't split up or anything. It was pretty constant all throughout. So when I was little, how old was I? I was 3. That's like the first memory I have, was my dad taking me to the shops and buying me a Barbie that I've been whining about for a while. It was kind of a strange dynamic because I have a chronic illness, which isn't really related to, you know, this part of my life, but it's called thalassemia. So thalassemia is essentially anemia, but times 100. And I got diagnosed when I was in New Zealand. And because of this, I always got a lot of special attention from my parents. My mom would always take me to the hospital for blood transfusions or to get my medicines and all that. But my dad would more give me gifts and just show me special affection that he didn't really show to any other people. I don't know how to explain this really, because it's such a
That might explain the snobby accent she has.
complex situation. When you're sick as a child, all of the attention is always on you. And when it isn't, it just feels really awful and you can't really understand it. My dad, he was quite tyrannical. That's the word that people would use. So it was quite scary in terms of punishment, and he wouldn't be the one you go to talk about your feelings with. You kind of just went to him if you had trouble at school or you needed help studying, that sort of stuff. So he wasn't like a friend. My mum was like a friend. She was really, really loving, really caring. She'd be very affectionate, whereas my dad, he wasn't, a mean person or anything. It's just that he did not show emotions at all, and he actively discouraged us from having any. So if I were to start crying, he would get quite angry and he wouldn't talk to me until I stopped crying and calmed down. Whereas my mum would fawn over me if I was crying.
Well, Roger, as my video opened up with, she finds herself lying all the time. So I take everything she says with like a pound of salt at this point.
I knew that crying made me get punished, and I didn't want to do that. I knew it made me look weak, so I didn't want to do that either. So even at the hospital when I'm getting needles, I was just keeping it together, not crying, not doing anything because I didn't want to look weak or stupid. When I was growing up, from then on, everything was kind of centered on me. And it's kind of a big burden to bear, because not only was it because I was unwell, it was also that I was a high scholastic achiever. I also, was very creative. I wrote books, anthologies of poetry and short stories. And so this kind of burden was always on me. And I felt like if I didn't live up to it, there was something wrong with me. This kind of led to a really bad downward spiral, because I also started child modeling at about 10. And if someone didn't value me because of like what I was thinking or what I looked like, it would feel like I was being punished. And I don't think that I was, but it's kind of shaped who I am today.
I mean, that's like a lot of narcissism too. I think that's, like I said, that's her biggest problem. I think that's the reason she has all these social medias, why she's so open about it, is she wants that admiration, that acceptance, and she wants to create herself a little bit of an empire. She wants followers. She wants people who are completely accepting of her for how she is. Well, she probably cannot get that in real life, because people on the internet are weird. They'll accept you for anything. In real life, they actually hold you to some standards, and she can't just go around saying this stuff in her daily life.
I still seek the same kind of validation that I've sought since childhood. And it's not a good place to be. You don't want other people to validate your self-worth, because you will end up terribly, terribly depressed, as I did. As a child and then going into high school, I was a pretty bad person, I'd say. Not a bad person inherently, but I did some really bad things, and I didn't really feel any guilt or remorse or any of those kinds of things. So there's nothing stopping me from doing what I was doing other than punishment. There was just a point by the time I got to university. Sorry, that was my cat snorting. She snorts a lot because she has a flat face. Anyway, basically what reeled me back in was at university. I was kind of drowning in everything, and I realized like nothing I was doing was working for me. And I just felt this like immense emptiness and sadness that I couldn't get rid of. I wasn't a partier or anything. I wasn't promiscuous. I didn't even date anyone until I turned 21. It was just this kind of like hollowness that nobody else seemed to have. And so I went to see a psychiatrist because I thought I must be depressed. There must be something wrong, like hormonally, chemically, something. I kind of started, it's not empathy. I don't think that empathy is the be all and end all. I don't think it dictates who's a good person and who isn't. I think compassion is something that we can choose, and I chose to have compassion for my friends, my family, for people around me. I got really involved in, social justice causes, which were kind of embarrassing at the time. And it was, I guess, the doctor really helped me out, although I was a bit shocked with the ASPD diagnosis. Obviously, there's just so many bad connotations when it comes to a cluster B disorder. And I keep reading in the comments that people without guilt or empathy can't be trusted. And it's just appalling to me, because are you saying that humans are only controlled by empathy and guilt? Because tell me, where is the empathy for women who've been raped and then stoned to death? Or where's the empathy for someone who has been executed for a crime they've not committed? How is that still happening when people with empathy are the ones pulling the strings here? I think that's ridiculous.
I think there's a lot more people without empathy than we realize. And maybe they're the ones pulling the strings.
Honestly do. I live by a standard of moral codes. I don't do things because I know they're bad. I know it's a choice, and I will always say it's a choice. I choose not to cheat on my current partner. I choose not to be violent or verbally abusive. I choose not to be a shitty person. It's not something that's got to do with anything that's hardwired in my brain, or maybe became that way while I was growing up. I don't know what you're going to achieve by otherizing people like us. We're already in the shadows. There's also more comments, let me get into that, who think that I'm not a real sociopath because I'm out in public. that one takes the cake for me, honestly, because you guys have.
Yeah, she does not live by a code. From we've heard from her own mouth, she'll pretty much betray anybody. The people she keeps around are the ones that she finds useful or convenient.
Bullied people into being in the shadows. So when someone comes forward, they can't possibly be a sociopath, right? Anyway, so I personally want to advocate for accepting people with personality disorders. It's not glorifying by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know, it's really, really troublesome for me to know that people who are just trying to seek a community and get help are being ridiculed or attacked. And obviously, because I'm a woman, the main attacks are the way I speak or my looks or things like that. Or some neurotypicals will try and trigger me because I'm a narcissist, so they can attack different parts of me and I'll go crumbling at their feet, of course. That's just really harmful, man. Like, why are you doing that? That's just...
So so people target her because she's a narcissist and just make her feel bad? Okay. I mean, I think that's another lie, Roger.
Sucks. Like, why do you want to make someone feel bad? Like, I don't do that. I could do that to you, but I don't. So I was basically becoming more mindful when I was seeing my shrink back when I was at university. And it really helped me to kind of understand that what I was doing was contributing to that empty feeling and that complete sadness that it just doesn't go away no matter how hard you try. I went through some very violent sexual assaults, which were pretty bad, and they didn't really help with the whole mental health situation. It's been a rough experience just dealing with ASPD, just dealing with depression, all that sort of stuff. It all ties in together, but there's just that extra layer of stigma. I don't want to even be associated with it because I know that it will cost me jobs or it will cost me sponsors, but I can't help how I am as a person. All I can do is make good choices. I became a sociopath, or I am a sociopath because of certain wiring and because of the circumstances in which I was raised. I don't think that it's right or even morally acceptable to treat people as a leper just because of something they cannot control. Similar to, say, bipolar disorder. I mean, are they all monsters? I can understand that there are people out there who've been abused by sociopaths and narcissists, but you're really throwing those words out there and they mean things. Like, words have meanings. Those are diagnostic terms. Narcissistic personality disorder is a diagnostic term. Calling someone a narcissist for absolutely no reason other than, oh, they might be a little bit vain or arrogant, that's ridiculously harmful. Like, you're just saying if someone's horrible, they must be a narcissist or a sociopath. And yeah, it's the hyperbole.
I've seen screenshots of you calling people narcissists and armchair diagnosing people on your own website. So that's another point in the hypocrisy counter.
And the readiness to just blame it on the narcs or blame it on the socios is so damaging. Kids who do have conduct disorder and who are leaning towards antisocial personality disorder, they deserve a community, they deserve a space to go where they can talk about their feelings, where they can get the help that they need so they do not become violent offenders. It's basically violent offender or healthy and supported. So please be a contributor to helping people and to reduce the stigma and the shame and basically all of that sort of traumatizing bullshit, honestly. Anyway, I know I rambled a lot for that one. I just have a lot of feelings and I've been gone for a while. So please make sure you like and subscribe. And if you want to buy my book, that would be freaking amazing. And I will love you forever for doing that. So this is my new little baby Crosby. He's 4 months old and he's squirming to get away, so I'm gonna let him go. But he has the most concerned-looking face I've ever seen.
That cat looks so concerned. Oh man, I gotta screenshot that. That poor cat looks like, help me. All right. Now we're going to yes, she's not gonna love you forever. And more importantly, why would you want her to? Now, next on our list, we're gonna go through her shorts. She's uploaded some more shorts as well. All of her shorts are gold. Especially when she gets into story time. Now, I'm mostly doing this stream because if her channel does actually get taken down, that's going to be very sad. And I'd like to have some of it at least archived for history. I don't think YouTube's actually going to ban her like TikTok did. Nothing she's made on YouTube is actually violating TOS. As I said, her content's very curated, very, very filtered. Like I can't even find anything where she's outwardly like cursing or anything. So I think she's safe.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and people often ask if I enjoy hurting others. The short answer is yes, but not for the reasons you think. I am a sociopath, I'm not a sadist. I don't enjoy causing physical pain. What I do enjoy is causing chaos because I am constantly so bored and understimulated. This can indirectly hurt people and cause collateral damage. When I was younger, I would engage in physical violence, theft, and starting rumors, all of which came to bite me in the ass. Now I channel that energy into my personal life and when it comes to business. And I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and people often ask if I enjoy.
This is day one dating a.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and people often.
Alright. There's a way, I believe, to actually play all her shorts. So give me just a moment. So I did this for Ian Foote. I managed to load up all of his shorts into a playlist. Kanika Batra's content is mostly short. She found out the YouTube algorithm early, and that shorts are just promoted way more than any other type of video. Alright, I believe I've got it now.
Often ask if I enjoy hurting others. The short answer is yes, but not for the reasons you think. I'm a diagnosed sociopath. This is how I get jobs I'm not qualified for and how I get ahead in business. I'm now at the point where I get offers from LinkedIn. When I started, the first thing I did was go to job sites and look for jobs that would entertain me. I love a position where I can actually climb the ladder. I would read the relevant skills and qualifications, and despite having none or not many of them, I would apply anyway. Work hard on creating a solid resume. I'm a writer, so I've always been good at this. During the phone interview, I am super bubbly. I glean as much information as I can, and I ensure I make it sound like I fit the criteria. Because of my creative resume, they don't doubt me. I make sure I find out who will be interviewing me. I do as much research into that particular person as I can. This includes what they like to eat or what they like to wear, because social media has been great for this. I listen intensely. I rephrase the information they give to me and throw it right back at them.
I do that too, because I have a good memory. And yes, you'd be amazed how many times when people will tell you something and you repeat it back to them week, 2 weeks later, then watch them disagree with themselves. That's a very fun activity if you have a good enough memory. It's also very sad.
I'm a sociopath. This is how I got diagnosed. I went to see a psychiatrist due to some general depression and also just to get some Valium. It took me 6 months of lying to a therapist to get that Valium. He did give me
She was doing it to score drugs. I love how she just casually admits that.
some self-awareness though. I wasn't supposed to, but I saw correspondence from my psychiatrist to my GP. I was diagnosed with clinical depression and antisocial personality disorder. The second time was in New York. I was rushed into hospital for surgery. I won't go into that. I made some dramatic comments about wanting to unalive myself, and they took that very, very seriously. They told me I could either go to Bellevue or go there. I wasn't going to Bellevue. The primary psychiatrist said she didn't believe anything I was saying because I had ASPD. At my final evaluation, there were 12 doctors present. Some were residents, I believe, and it was the same diagnosis: depression and ASPD. I'm a sociopath. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and these are the only two things I'm scared of. Prison. I'm a small girl, and I'm going to get jumped. This has stopped me from doing some very illegal things, but it also hasn't. I just don't think I would look very good in prison attire. Also, I don't really want to be seen as one of those people who's gone to prison. Sorry.
So obviously you got the survival instinct. Now there's the narcissism. Like, I don't want to be seen as one of those people who's gone to prison.
Marcus, do it. And the second is physical altercations. I'm not scared of pain. I just don't want anything to happen to my face. Also, I mainly just live out of spite. I get DMs every day of people telling me to unalive myself, and I want to live just to spite them. Just don't unalive me in an ugly way. I'm a diagnosed
Will complain about how men are cheating on them, but we don't talk about your ass pic.
As a sociopath, even I find this hypocritical. I don't think Miss Pearl knows what cheating is because she actually did cheat on her man twice. In this video, she has the audacity to compare men physically cheating on their wives and girlfriends to women posting photos on Instagram. Sweetie, secure men actually like showing off their women. They're not intimidated by random people on the internet. So funny how you rally so hard for men, but nobody from the manosphere would ever think about dating you. I know you're a pick-me, and you're begging at this point, but you're still not getting picked. I've seen older photos of you. Did you never get picked for sports either? Shame women constantly, but you have so much to be ashamed of. Let's just see your whole personality. A married woman talking to a single pick-me. Powerful men love powerful women.
Wow. So have you noticed that when she's going after another woman, she is vicious? Like, she was attacking Roma Army's kids and everything. She's vicious towards men too. But like, that's the only time I've ever seen her really get vicious towards another YouTuber on her actual content, is towards another woman. The stuff she says about men is mostly just very condescending and coming from a place of superiority in her mind.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and here's how I got revenge on a married man. So I went on a date with this guy about 5 to 6 years ago. Now, he was obsessed with me, which of course I love. He wanted a simple life, which is obviously not my thing. I dropped him and he got a little bit obsessive. So I hear from him recently. He was certainly acting like he was single, but I did my research and turns out that guy was married with a baby on the way. Now, my husband is very secure. He doesn't mind at all when I talk to these guys to destroy them. Let's just say I made some false promises when I lured him out to Sydney. I recorded all of these conversations that he had with me, and I may or may not have showed his wife. I assume things aren't good because they're not on each other's profiles anymore. I went to meet him. I told him he'd aged terribly, and then I just walked off. I'm a diagnosed sociopath.
We don't have the conversation about why did he cheat. Were you not sleeping with him?
So this woman believes it's your fault that your ex cheated on you. You had to put out and stay.
I think this is another chick that's a men's rights activist that she's going after. I think she really has a problem with women being men's rights activists.
In shape, otherwise it was his right.
And ladies, if you're ever wanting to make an easy buck on YouTube, have a channel grow up fast, become a men's rights activist, because there are so many women who claim to be men's rights activists that have huge channels.
Right to cheat, according to Miss Pearl. She failed to mention that this guy probably should have had a conversation with his girlfriend to let her know his concerns before cheating. There have been articles that claim that I have cheated, which are factually incorrect. And you know what? I got bombarded with hate. So how come only men are allowed to get away with this? I went on a show to talk about that, and another man who was on the show talked about cheating on his wife physically, and he was applauded for it. So it seems the onus is always on the woman. Miss Pearl is one of the reasons why sexual assault and domestic violence is on the rise. I hope turning on your gender is helpful for your incel views, Pearl. Maybe I think it is disgusting when a man sleeps with a woman on a first date. You're giving women all the power. What's wrong with you?
Modern males are a disgrace. Wow.
Imagine how easy she thinks you are. You probably do this with all women. Don't you know that every time a pencil goes into a sharpener, it becomes more useless and small? Also, you need to be bubblier.
Well, I think it's a lot of what goes on. Like, why are all these women coming out as men's rights activists? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Not to say that what they're saying is necessarily wrong or disagreeable in all cases, but why? You know, that makes my instincts pop up here and be like, it's probably for money. They see a market and they're capitalizing on it.
in person. How am I meant to be happy when I see you frowning on your way to work? You're not attractive when you frown. You should smile more. It's so bad when you let yourself go. You should be dressing up for women. We want to see suits. We want to see a six-pack at the beach. You just sit there letting it all hang out, don't you? Have you not heard of Atkins? You're too hairy. You all are out here looking like ungroomed poodles when you should be out here looking like a naked mole rat. We don't want to smell your BO. Invest in some Armani perfume. Shouldn't you be chopping wood for our fireplace right now? You're just sitting here playing video games. You're so useless. That's not a man. Why aren't you at war? I think it is disgusting.
Why aren't you at war? Wow.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath. Is it possible to train yourself to become one of us? Not officially, but you could be close.
This is the title of this video is This is Not a Sociopath Challenge.
Could you do something against your morality every single day? And by this, I mean, could you backstab your best friend without feeling remorse? Could you smear someone's reputation if you're going up against them for a promotion? Most people would lose a lot of sleep over this. And from the comment section, it seems like you're really like empathy and guilt. Guilt is completely lost on me. Once I've done something, it's like it doesn't exist anymore. I have done some objectively horrible things and slept perfectly fine that night. Could you solely focus on yourself and ignore the needs of the people around you? Not only that, you'd probably step on them for your own gain. Now, this is not something I think you guys can do. This is not a challenge. I'm a diagnosed sociopath. Is it possible to train yourself to be? I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and I hate it when people pretend to support mental disorders. But they are so quick to rescind their support when symptoms start to show. I have antisocial personality disorder. Once I take the mask off, people can't handle it. When I tell them that I view all relationships as transactional, they freak out. I can't force myself to start feeling empathy. You're lucky that I pretend to show it. The thing is, I don't feel, I just do. I can't force my brain to process guilt and remorse. It's like asking your goldfish to climb a tree. I think it's so important to integrate it into your personality. If I did everything my impulses told me, I would destroy so many lives, probably my own as well. I work very hard to keep myself in check. Just don't pretend to support mental illness when you act.
I mean, you can support mental illness and still expect people to keep their symptoms in check. Especially if you're a sociopath. Yes, you should keep your impulses in check.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is why more women get diagnosed with BPD instead of NPD.
You know, we gotta have some expectations for civilized society here. Okay, we can't just sit here and let these people walk all over us just because they have a mental disorder.
Both narcs and borderlines have no sense of identity. They take on characteristics of those around them. The difference is most narcs turn their anger outwards, whereas people with BPD turn it inwards. This is why people with BPD have such intense mood swings. Narcs can be very toxic to the people around them. There are two main types of narcissism: cerebral and somatic. Cerebral being they're so impressed with their mental prowess, and somatic being they're so proud of their looks. Because society focuses so heavily on women's appearances, of course that comes to the forefront. Borderlines will go in and complain about how bad they look. Narcs will talk about how fantastic they look. Women get diagnosed with BPD because they talk about these emotional shifts. They talk about the toxicity towards themselves.
Now she made a video about sociopathy and borderlines. Hold on, let's go take a detour into that one, because we covered someone on this channel who was borderline, deity of YouTube, and it would be interesting to see if they have anything in common. Now, the thing about borderline is it has highs and lows. From what I can tell is that she does not have highs and lows. She's pretty flat the entire time. So the differences between them during their worst, when they're in their worst states, is what I'm interested in.
Hey guys, it's Kanika. Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about borderline personality disorder and the similarities and differences between BPD and antisocial personality disorder. As you can see, I've got my baby Wilhelmina here, and Lily is going to be around and she'll snort a lot. So if you hear weird noises, it's that. So borderline personality is something that is misunderstood quite often in the media and in society in general. I know because you guys mention a lot in my comments that I need to cover BPD because it's the only cluster B that I haven't covered so far. I'm going to go over the textbook definition of the symptoms, and then I will go into personal experience with friends who suffer from the disorder. So the 9 symptoms of borderline personality: fear of abandonment, unstable relationships, unclear or shifting self-image, impulsive self-destructive behavior, self-harm, extreme emotional swings, chronic feelings of emptiness, explosive anger, and feeling suspicious or out of touch with reality. You'll probably think that, hang on, that sounds very similar to antisocial personality. And
Not really. I mean, the way you describe antisocial personality disorder with the lack of empathy, the impulsive behavior is similar, yes, but overall it seems like one's unstable emotion and one just is pretty shallow emotions and just can't connect with other human beings at all.
it
Unstable relationships versus relationships of convenience.
definitely is. I'm continuing this with the Venn diagram because you know I like Venn diagrams. You can access this. I will link it to the video. The similarities between borderline and antisocial are the impulsiveness, addiction, irritability, emptiness, low mood, unstable, and hostility. Borderlines, however, have intense emotions. They fear abandonment. They idealize a lot. That's a very central concept to people with borderline personality. They have love-hate cycles or splitting. It makes up a lot of their interactions with other people because they can split very quickly on you. There's shifting identity, low self-esteem, preoccupied attachment style. And in terms of antisocial personality, there are fewer emotions, disregard for safety. This is usually our own and other people, unfortunately. Cons or deceives for profit or pleasure. Not if you're high functioning. Irresponsible.
Yes, but you do the same thing. I mean, your website's $14.99 a month just to get into the basic tier. Then it's $75 a month to get into the advanced tier. Not even to go into your coaching sessions that are over $100, or the one that's over like $300. That's insane. That's insane.
Kill or be killed.
You are definitely exploiting people for profit. And you can claim you're high functioning, but your behavior does not indicate that.
Mentality, no guilt or remorse, dismissive attachment style. Borderline personality is more likely to hurt the individual themselves, so they often self-harm. Whereas people with antisocial personality, they tend to move that behavior outward onto other people. So we all have the same underlying sort of woundedness from either abuse or trauma or a childhood that was incredibly difficult. And of course, borderline personality is a well-known method for the brain to minimize the abuse and neglect that has been experienced. This is a coping mechanism. People with borderline personality do have rapidly shifting moods. I am friends with quite a few people with borderline personality. They do seem to be kind of magnetized to me. I think it's because I love bomb the crap out of people.
I've been on the receiving end of one of those mood swings, so I know all about it.
So they just, they really like that because they like the attention that they're getting. And fair enough, because I'd love the attention too. Like sociopaths and borderlines seem to really attract one another, which can be very damaging to the borderline.
That would be my theory, Roger. I'm doing well, I'm successful at the moment, so I must be high functioning. And yes, you can there's plenty of high functioning alcoholics who are very successful, but that doesn't mean that they're actually going to be high functioning once they're at once you know, when they're alone. You know what I mean? So I guarantee you that despite how she outwardly appears, when she's alone, she's probably filled with a lot of that narcissistic, like, self-loathing. You know, that's probably why she's trying to build the following she is. I agree. I agree. You definitely don't want to approach her in real life. Thankfully, she is in what I think she said she was in Barcelona right now, so we're good. We're safe. But she's roaming the world, and it looks like she's got access to a lot of money because she's a beauty queen.
They can be like manipulated very easily by people with antisocial personality or even neurotypicals. When I was younger, I would partake in manipulating certain people, and the borderlines were always the easiest to, mess around with. And I feel disgusted at what I was like. And I don't want vulnerable people with borderline personality to go into these relationships without the knowledge of how the sociopath psyche is. A high functioning sociopath will not be abusive and they will not be causing harm, but a low functioning sociopath will do a lot of damage. So I recommend a lot of self help and exploring the realms of possibilities before you jump into that kind of relationship. So the borderline people that I know are actually some of the most.
Well, I mean, her scamming. I don't know about her scamming men, but I know for a fact she's scamming women, at least with her website. Again, she has dating profiles up that she says she uses to entrap married men and to expose them to their wives. That she'll, like, record calls with them. Like, she goes deep into it to expose them. Now that could also be a lie, just a front to hide the fact that she's trying to use what do they call them? Tinder swindlers. Yeah, that could be it. And plus, Instagram, you get messages all the time from people trying to get money from you.
Wonderful and kind and caring individuals I've ever met. I have one friend who was so generous during our Miss Universe time together. She basically did my makeup every day for me, and I stayed at her place with her. She was a wonderful, generous person. There's something so charming with people with BPD because they tell you these wonderful stories. Like, they're really, really fascinating, and they love opening up to you and they love being around you, They feel genuinely excited to know you, which is really, really fun. It's wonderful. At the core, like I said, we share that trauma, and their main fear is abandonment. So while sociopaths really fear rejection and criticism, people with borderline personality are much more concerned with someone leaving them or abandoning them because they've experienced it earlier in life. And they will do anything to stop that from happening. And they'll partake in really risky behavior. But when sociopaths partake in risky behavior, it's because we don't feel anything. And so, I mean, we feel emotions, but we don't really feel a thrill or anything. We don't get that joy. So we take big risks because we like the feeling of adrenaline. We're not really used to having too much going on. Whereas with the borderline, there's so much going on all the time. And they do these things to please people or to distract them from the horrible thoughts that they may be having. They will go on reckless spending sprees. They will turn up at somebody's house and profess their love for them and just trying to avoid the pain of abandonment. The difference between that and antisocial personality is an ego and pride. People with borderline personality don't usually have such an inflated sense of self or an ego so large. For me, if I thought someone was abandoning me, I would be upset, but I have enough pride and ego to not chase after somebody more than a certain amount because I feel like that wounds myself. I don't know if that's the narcissism kicking in or whatever.
They're glorified hookup apps, basically. Not worth messing around with, in my opinion.
but I feel humiliated by that, and I don't want to do that. Whereas some borderline people I know, this is someone I dealt with before. She's not a friend at all. She essentially went on this attack against me because we had a disagreement. She was so vicious about it. She was very angry and she did all sorts of things. And then a month later, she sent me a message saying that she thought our friendship was wonderful and that like she hopes I can forgive her at some point. That flip is something I can't do. I could have never been the one to go to her and say that because, yeah, my ego is not there for it at all. So the generosity of borderlines is sometimes basically the opposite of what a sociopath would do. So sociopaths who are low functioning do tend to be parasitic. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean like
I wonder Deity and his mod girls. I wonder if any of them were sociopaths or had some tendencies. It would make a lot of sense.
they have not really been told how to act in society.
I mean, a lot of them really did act like Kanika Batra at the time, especially with the rumor spreading, in particular. I mean, that's what do you call it? Triangulation is what Kanika referred to it as.
So they're just mimicking emotions and mirroring those of people around them. So we don't really know it's parasitic or that it's wrong. We do know it's wrong to lie or steal or cheat or cause harm to others, but we don't have the underlying emotional stimulus to tell us to not do that. Another thing is the volatility of emotions. If you're friends with someone with borderline personality, you will notice a rapid change. If you use one word different to like what you would normally say, if your tone changes, if you're tired and you don't have the energy to be a part of this conversation, they will get very upset generally because I think they perceive this as abandonment or that someone's lost interest in them. And that's very damaging to their core. And they don't really know how to process it. When it comes to antisocials, we're flat. Like I am flat all through the day. I do not have general spikes or lows. I do have depressive episodes, but I don't rapidly cycle in one day. From the morning to night, I'm just, unless something really bad happens or something really happy happens, obviously I'm capable of emotion. People with borderline personality have honestly been just wonderful in my life. They're so loyal and kind, and honestly, it's to a fault. They are so loyal, and that's what I really
I think that's the key right there. To a fault that she can take advantage of them.
love in a friend. There's nothing that's more important to me than loyalty. I think the main issue is, of course, the sort of drama that happens with the borderline personality. They kind of crave that attention, and so they'll do dramatic things to grab it, which can, of course, lead to some toxic situations. But yeah, I've unfortunately had to end friendships because of how unstable they've been, and I can't deal with it. Like I can't deal with the drama. I can't sit there and be with a certain friend. I have been on the line with emergency services on a weekly basis because of their self-harm, and eventually it gets so taxing on my own mental health, and it's just something I can't really afford to do right now.
Yeah, with how she's spoken about friends and everything in the past, I don't know if this is true that she would actually be this invested.
As much as I do want to help them, but borderlines can be treated, okay? You guys can seek help, and honestly, there are going to be shrinks out there that are just disgusting and will have preconceived notions of what you're like, but you can seek help. Dialectical behavioral therapy does work. Marshall Linehan was onto something with that one. Cognitive behavioral therapy also works, and I would assume that there are mood stabilizers because sometimes borderlines do also have bipolar disorder, as do people with ASPD. I will do a more in-depth video of the differences, but so far this is what I've experienced with borderline personality. And I know I'm not a medical professional, but I do have a lot of friends and do speak with a lot of people in the community who do have BPD. And it's an issue that needs to be discussed because suicidality of the disorder is 3 to 10%. We cannot afford to lose these people. It's heartbreaking. And I want to spread good information out about them. I want to highlight their achievements and how kind and sweet they are. I don't want to focus on the negatives and make them feel horrible about it.
Well, Roger, that's what a lot of medical experts will say as well. Like, I think it's the entire cluster B disorders that they just consider to be beyond hope. At least a lot of them do. Not beyond hope, but there's nothing that really will work for it, you know?
Disorder that they cannot choose that is probably formed because of trauma or injury. So thank you for watching. I hope you did enjoy this. As you know, for Miss World, I have been participating in charity work for Variety, the children's charity. If you would like to help me in my journey and donate to disadvantaged kids, I would really appreciate that. There's a link below. And otherwise, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want me to do a different video, ask for it and I will do it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and to add on to that, also, like, she has talked about how she can't even find therapists and whatnot because a lot of them just refuse to see her because of, you don't see people with antisocial personality disorder. That sometimes also that they'll use their therapist as like a practicing tool to become better sociopaths, to become better at manipulation, which I guess makes sense that they would be worried about that.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath. This is why we either end up as CEOs or in prison. We are huge risk takers. I've gone bankrupt from terrible business ideas. I foolishly tried to start a clothing company with no business experience. Safe to say it did not go well. Luckily, bankruptcy is nature's do-over. We are exceptionally charming. This works brilliantly for networking. We can make you think that there's a great investment opportunity, but really it's a Ponzi scheme. Hence the president or CEO. We make false promises. Elizabeth Holmes, I'm looking at you. Promise a lot of...
Wait a minute. She just said it sounds like a great business idea, but it's actually just a Ponzi scheme. Again, she's running a website where she charges exorbitant prices for this stuff. I'm curious what's going on behind the scenes. Is she who are the other people involved in this? Is she how deep does this scam go?
things to a lot of people, didn't you? So close. We're not bogged down by empathy. We can hire and fire without caring at all. Not in prison yet, so here's to hoping. I'm a diagnosed sociopath and I've never felt guilt, nor do I want to. What's the point of feeling bad about something you've already done? You can't undo it. Guilt is a control mechanism by society. I had a co-worker friend in my sales job. He was sick and I offered to help him with his sales leads. I stole his leads, got promoted, and he got fired. It was a good week. Not necessarily for him. I'd bet most of you would feel bad about it for months. Meanwhile, I enjoyed that money on a holiday. I rewarded myself with a nice Prada bag. I'm sure he'll find another job, just probably not in sales. Imagine what you could do if you didn't feel guilt. Guilt sounds like wasted time to me. Will someone please tell me the point of this toxic emotion? I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is how I get out of trouble. I pushed a girl down the stairs at school. Unfortunately, I got pulled into the principal's office. My tears might be powerful, I guess, because she got suspended. To be fair, she was bullying my friend. Why deal with negative consequences when you can just cry your way out of it? I've gotten out of speeding tickets.
To be fair, non-sociopathic children would have done that. So, we'll give her a pass. We won't hold her accountable for what she did as a child.
I sobbed relentlessly and got my parents to buy me a business class ticket home after I spent all my money at the Chateau Marmont. And in court, I got a judge go pretty lenient on me. I can cry for real. You'll just never know when. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and here's why I'm considered evil. I have the same diagnosis as most serial unalivers. I'm not sure if it's due to the disorder, but I'm prone to violence and manipulation. Sometimes I do believe that people who stand in my way would be better off gone, making my life a lot easier. And no, I'm not just talking about...
Now, to be fair, I'm not a sociopath, and I oftentimes feel the same way.
At my grandma. My grandma just won't. I've had dark thoughts ever since I was a child. I didn't actually know other people didn't. They're intrusive thoughts, and I try my best not to indulge them for the sake of the world. On a scale of 1 to Patrick Bateman, I'd consider myself a 7. But I often do very nice things, but not because society is forcing me to do it like most of you. To be honest, I give out gifts to make myself feel good. At least I'm honest about it, I guess.
Well, no, I don't think society forces anyone to do good things. I think that you feel good doing good things because that's just how the human brain works.
Yes. Finally, do I consider myself evil? Absolutely. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and here's why I'm considered evil. I have the same diagnosis as most serial. I'm a diagnosed sociopath. Have I been manipulated by other sociopaths? Unfortunately, yes. I'm arrogant, but not arrogant enough to say I've never been fooled. My uncle, not only has he sold my family home 3 times to different people and not given us any money for it, he swindled 5 different women and took all their money and ran off to America. He stole all my inheritance, but I still love him. He'll take me to dinner and buy me everything on the menu. Of course, it's my own money. And he will shower me with gifts and compliments. He always tells me he'll give the money back and that he's just waiting for it to grow in his investments. We all know we're never going to see that money again. It's now been 16 years. There's currently a standing arrest warrant for him in India if he ever chooses to return.
Okay. Well, I mean, with family like that, I'm not surprised you turned out how you did.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath. Here's how to spot, control, and manipulate any narcissist. They come across as just a little too perfect. They've donated $5 to a homeless person, now they're philanthropists. Drop in a mild insult, see how they react. If they're an R, probably not well. Something like they have a weird chin, or you don't have the time nor crayons to explain things to them. The best way to manipulate them is to not ride their emotional waves. If you see them as your puppet, they will become one. You need to control their narcissistic supply. Keep in mind that a mild insult will cause them to be mortally wounded. The true self hides under the false self. If you want their attention, don't give them any. They will blow up your phone. They will beg for that narcissistic supply and you will be in control. If you want to control them, use Pavlovian conditioning, but with narc supply as their treat. And this is why I'm obsessed with power. If I were in a perfect world, I would control everything and you would be my puppets. Some of you already are. Because a lot of us faced abuse in our childhoods, we never had control.
You see, she kind of did that as an aside, as a joke. Some of you already are. She's not joking. That is how she sees her followers. Not a doubt in my mind.
All of the situations we were in. When we get to adulthood, that's all we think about. Sociopaths use extreme manipulation to get people to do the things they want to do. And if you have behaviors they don't like, they will train it out of you real quick. Female sociopaths use a lot more psychological manipulation. I've been a monster for most of my life. I think I stole a lot of years from a lot of guys. To be fair, they were easy targets. Honestly, if you keep coming back after being blocked 7 times, it's your fault. Don't worry, guys. I've been to therapy and I'm doing a lot better now.
If you say so.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath. Can I be cured? Nah, I'm screwed. Who says I want to be cured? I've been through a lot of trauma and abuse, and my brain is just wired differently because of it. But it has given me many advantages in life, including the corporate world. The only problem is I get very bored. And that's when I make things exciting. Causing mayhem never hurt anyone, right? Unfortunately, therapy can sometimes make sociopaths worse. We become better liars and better manipulators. But it can help us with our mood disorders, which most of us have. Empathy sounds hard. I don't know how you all do it. What's the point in burdening yourself with other people's problems? I have enough of my own. To me, guilt and remorse just feel like control mechanisms. I can be kind without being forced by society to do so. I'm a diagnosed sociopath and I never get nervous. I could get a call from my agent saying that I need to speak in front of 2 million people tomorrow about knitting and I wouldn't care. And I know nothing about knitting. I can't empathize with myself, and that includes future Kanika.
Now, I don't understand that because she's talked about having anxiety and stuff in her videos. So you don't get nervous, but you also have but you don't have any anxiety at all when it comes to things like that, like giving a speech in front of 2 million people. And you know nothing about the topic, no anxiety. Then what is causing your anxiety, Kanika?
Having anxiety and nervousness makes me do some really stupid things, and I never learn from my mistakes. People tell me I'm very charming and charismatic to talk to. I think this is because I feel no nervousness and therefore there's no barrier between me and them. I allow people to be themselves and then I just mirror what they are. Sociopaths are generally very good at job interviews because we lack the nervousness that regular people have. Plus, we'll say anything to get the job. Our resumes may be creative. I may or may not speak 6 languages, including Swahili, and I'm a professional stuntwoman, according to my resume. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is the funniest thing I've ever done. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and I often get asked whether or not I feel emotions. Yes, of course I do. It's just not like regular people. The easy way to understand this is knowing 2 terms, public and private emotions. I can feel public emotions such as anger, sadness, humiliation, rejection, jealousy, but I can't feel private emotions like anxiety, empathy, remorse, guilt. I can have compassion and kindness. These 2 have nothing to do with empathy. When I was younger, I pathologically lied and stole. I felt no guilt or remorse for this because I didn't think it was wrong. And I like legally it's wrong, but I didn't feel anything. I still don't feel anything about this, but I wouldn't continue this behavior because it results in bad consequences for myself. Compassion and kindness.
Again, she's not a good person. One of the things she argues in her videos is that she's a good person. It's all the choices you make. You say things like that basically society collapses. She's going to be one of the bad guys. The only thing holding her back is fear of consequences.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is how I seduce people. When I first meet people, I get them to tell me everything about themselves. I tell them nothing about me. People love mystery, and they also love talking about themselves. Once I know enough about
Well, hold on now. I do that too. I don't like talking about myself. And actually, in dating, it works out really well because you spend most of the time talking about her. She thinks you're really into her, but really, I just don't want to talk about me.
them, I become very passionate about their hobbies, their goals, their dreams, everything. With enough information, I can be anyone's soulmate. Women don't compliment men very often, so when I do this, this often gets them hooked. I make sure every time that they talk to me, they get a very good feeling. I love bomb through texts and calls, and I make sure that I'm dressed perfectly whenever I meet them.
Well, Roger, that's why consequences exist, you know? That's why just about every civilized place in the world has laws to protect us from people like this, who just have no intention to work with society, who are going to do whatever it is suits them at the time.
Once I've got them hooked, then I start playing the hot and cold game. Be warned at this point, you might develop some stalkers. I once accidentally dumped a guy on his birthday and he proceeded to park outside my house for the entire evening and he wouldn't leave. I'm a diagnosed sociopath and I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of sociopathy. Because I have no anxiety, I go for job opportunities that I'm often not capable of and not qualified for. Somehow I always manage to get the job. If I get
How in the world that you, like, so she's a narcissist, right? She's got such a high opinion. She says like I'm not capable of it. Like, I don't know. It's suspicious to me. Why would you just admit you're not capable of it? No aside to be like, well, I could be capable of it. I just wasn't ready. Nothing like that. I'm not qualified and I'm not capable.
to the interview stage, I always get the job. Because I have no guilt or empathy, I will do whatever I need to get to the top. Some cons include my lack of consistency. I think there's been about 2 or 3 jobs where I just stopped turning up. I've gotten time off because my grandmother has died. My grandmother has now died 5 times. Unfortunately, she's still alive. I really wanted to work in the Whitsundays because it's just stunning. When I got there, I realized how old and boring everybody was, so I disappeared. In summary, I'm very good at getting jobs, I'm very bad at keeping them.
Well, I mean, I can safely say that your grandma is safe from you, right? Because I haven't heard anything about her grandma in any other video. It seems like they don't get along. I think there might be a reason for that.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath.
And R.I.P. to her grandmother when she apparently is going to get accused of being dead again.
And this is how I seduce people. When I first meet someone, I get them to tell me everything about themselves. I tell them absolutely nothing about me. People love mystery and they love talking about themselves. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is what makes me angry. Any disrespect to me or my inner circle. Since I'm a very controversial figure, people have gone after my friends for being friends with me. My inner circle is an extension of myself. So if you go after any of them, just know that I will go full force and dismantle you. Sometimes I go too far, and even my friends tell me to stop. When people hurt cats, to me, cats are more important than humans, and seeing people gloat about hurting them makes me homicidal. If you hurt cats, I hope you rot, and I am talking to you, Luca Magnotta. Any injustices against women. I don't care about many social causes, but DV, SA, and femicide, it feels like these things physically hurt me. I made Cinderella's Revenge to protect women.
Well, I mean, it looks like that she does champion certain causes. I mean, I wanted to do this stream also to look for redeemable qualities. I mean, there are some redeemable qualities at least. Although here's the thing. The problem with people like her, and she admits she lies all the time. What are her motivations for doing these causes? Is it just because I think she wants to be seen as a hero? I think that's the main. She wants to have a little cult following of people that she views as her puppets, and to be viewed as like the savior. Like, yes, you were the one who got me out of this abusive relationship with your insane advice that was fantasies in your head. Yes, self-aggrandizement, yes. And she definitely does a lot of self-aggrandizing in her videos. Exactly. I should be a lot worse than I am. And so I don't think her behavior is justified at all. And she can, like, I'm not up here saying I'm such a good person. She keeps saying she's a good person. At least people who have to come out and say that they're a good person no matter what, they're probably not a good person.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is how I got diagnosed with ASPD. ASPD is short for antisocial personality disorder. I was extremely depressed around the age 21. I made an attempt. Then I forcibly got sent to either a hospital or outpatient treatment. Being a control freak, I wanted to choose my own psychiatrist. I chose Dr. Zhang because he is a forensic psychiatrist, and I found that absolutely fascinating. I tried to lie and give him all the right answers, but as a forensic psychiatrist, he did see through me. At this point, you already know I got diagnosed with both ASPD and NPD. Initially, it was a bit of a shock, but it all kind of made sense. I mostly kept going to therapy because I wanted Valium. But he managed to teach me a lot about myself, which I really appreciate.
No, she hasn't really gone into much detail with this. She wanted Valium, so like at some point she was an addict. Is the implication there? So like I have yet to find any other real content about this, so I'm still digging further into her channel because she has a lot of shorts.
I honestly believe I would have gone to prison or ended up dead if I didn't get therapy. So I guess therapy works sometimes. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is how to detach emotionally from somebody. Emphasize the worst qualities about this person. Take off the rose tinted glasses. They're not perfect, and they have flaws that you've been ignoring. Maybe you've caught him not washing his hands after going to the bathroom, or if he doesn't respect your boundaries. These qualities need to be at the forefront of your vision about this person. Don't romanticize them. Focus on those horrible qualities. If you spend a lot of time with this person, maybe you should stop. If you're pair bonding through cuddling and other physical emotions, you are going to stay attached. Make yourself an unavailable commodity. Go out with your friends and meet other people so you're not obsessing over this one. The more you're seen with other people, the higher value you become, and the less dependent you get on this person. So it's a win-win. Just not for him or her.
I mean, that just sounds healthy. I mean, shouldn't both people be doing that? That sounds like how you avoid codependency. But again, because of her mindset, she's having it like in a malicious way. That, oh yes, now you're going to be seen as higher value than him or her. No, it's supposed to be a healthy balance for both people.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is how we always make you look like the villain. Triangulation is the most effective way of doing this. You can simultaneously destroy someone's reputation while remaining in control. Another person is thrown into the mix. That person is manipulated into being there to uphold the sociopath's sense of superiority. Gaslighting gets talked about a lot, but it's so important in this kind of dynamic. Since sociopaths and psychopaths are very good liars and have been known to pass polygraphs, it is incredibly easy for them to make you believe things that did not happen. They will make you believe that the DV or SA was in fact your fault. I mean, if you didn't want to sleep with someone, why were you wearing a short skirt? Finally, backfooting. They'll say things like, oh, women are all gold diggers. This makes you try and prove yourself. You'll be paying the bill before you know. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is how you know if you're being used by a man. If he makes you pay anything at all, less 50-50, he's not into you. He wouldn't make his dream girl pay for a date. He shouldn't take you on coffee.
You see, I've heard people in the manosphere say the exact opposite. So, I mean, where's the where's the balance here?
Dates or walk dates or beach dates. The more money he spends on you, the less he's spending on those other women. So remember to bleed him dry.
She's okay, Roger. You pretty much called it. She just casually admits that she's exploiting men for money.
He only contacts you when he wants some intimacy. Before you know it, it's just a question mark at 2 a.m. He ain't putting in the effort anymore. If you value a person, do you think you would treat them this way? He'll vanish for days because he's talking to other girls. Don't sit there pining for him. Date multiple guys, but do not hook up with them. I've had guys drop me off to another date. You aren't going to get attached to this one guy who's using you if you're getting attention from so many suitors. That gives you the best chance to find the right.
See, this she's like red pilled. She's like a red pilled woman. She's advising you spin plates, having guys drop you off to your next date. It's pretty baller. Damn. See, one of the things I saw on her, because she was exposed on TikTok as well, is that people were calling her the female Andrew Tate. I see it. It's the same advice, just in woman form.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is why I started a website about revenge. There is nothing more satisfying than getting revenge on the person who screwed you over. Not just in your love life, but in your career and your personal life with your friends. It's also a great motivator to improve yourself. Spite really helps. I don't care what people say. I have achieved so much through spite. So a person at work a while ago went to management about my short skirts. I went into a disciplinary meeting for this, and I'm telling you, these skirts weren't even short. They were just above the knee. I had to justify why I was wearing this, and I had to change my appearance. So I decided to get this person fired. I took it as far as making a police report, which was completely warranted, by the way, sort of. And then I took that person's position.
So she's falsifying police reports and getting people in legal trouble. That's an excellent admission. Again, you could just find you could just make a compilation of all the horrible things she says and admits to. And we're supposed to sit here and agree with her that she's still a good person despite her diagnosis, which is what her main videos on her channel are. All her shorts are where she comes out and admits all of her sins. Now, the other way to view this is that it's all lies, that she's making up these fantasies in her head of things she wished she had done to get views, and that she's doing it in shorts because shorts are being promoted by YouTube right now.
It worked out well for everybody. By everybody, I mean me. Women are just used to taking shit, not doling it out. People act differently when they know what you're capable of. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is how to not get attached in a relationship. Date multiple people at the same time, but do not give them access to your body. You won't be waiting 3 days to hear back from him because you'll be on other dates. Turn off notifications from this person on your phone and change their name to something you are not attached to. Something horrible, really. You can save him as Big Ears. This will stop you from getting a dopamine hit every time this person messages you. And also, it will save you the depression when they don't. Only give him an allotted time of your week. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and this makes you look more valuable. Don't be afraid to say no. If he's a successful man, he is going to value you when you say no.
You see, her advice is basically spin plates and don't get attached. Spin plates and then manipulate. God damn.
He'll kick up a fuss, of course, but he'll value you more. And instead of just saying you're busy, be busy.
Maybe we need to go watch that video with her husband in it. I want to see this guy. Who did she end up marrying? This poor guy. The Jeffrey Epstein defender. I mean, that's already a bad sign.
Do other things that don't involve this person. I'm a sociopath, and this is why most sociopaths are promiscuous. This is the one thing I don't believe applies to me. Sociopaths seek power, and sex is the fastest way to get it, but only if you don't get attached to people. If you get attached, you lose power. Female sociopaths will dangle sex on a string just to control you. Boredom causes sociopaths to seek variety, if you get what I mean. There is nothing like the whirlwind of a new relationship. And then discarding them, of course. It's so strange how people cry so much when they don't get closure. Now, this is a more psychopathic thing, but they can use it to blackmail you, especially if you're married, or if you're in a position of power that they want. They want something over you. In their minds, they'll always have a way to manipulate you. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and these are the 4 stages of narcissistic abuse. Love bombing, of course, is the beginning of it all. You're going to be idealized by this person. They don't know who you are. They're going to project what they want onto you. And you will feel like the center of the universe. You'll get calls, texts, you'll get showered with gifts. Just until you fall short. Once you become a real person and not their fantasy, you're going to become very devalued. All of that attention is just going to be snatched from you real quick. You're going to wonder what you did wrong. And let me tell you, you did nothing wrong. You'll get less and less communication, and then before you know it, you're discarded. Don't think you're ever going to get closure, by the way. That's a narc's favorite form of control over you. Then, if they lose narcissistic supply elsewhere, they'll come back to you. They'll give you little bits of attention that you'll be...
All right, I found something about her husband. This is one of the TikTok channels that's focused on exposing her. Kanika Batra is the name. I'm gonna play this. We caught her in some lies as well. All right, listen to this.
There have been articles that claim that I have cheated, which are factually incorrect. And you know what? I got messages, I got bombarded with hate. So how come only men are allowed to get away with this?
One of the hardest things for me was when Kanika told me that she had cheated on her former partner. It created this fear in my mind that one day, if we got into a fight or an argument or something like that, she would go and cheat on me.
There have been articles.
There we go. She cheats on him. Poor guy. If you didn't support Jeffrey Epstein, I'd have a lot more sympathy.
Here's why you shouldn't be your authentic self. This is the exact opposite of everything you've been told. Do you really think successful people are being their authentic selves and that's what's making them successful? Because I can guarantee you that's not the case. Social chameleons are liked by everybody. This is because they can adjust and adapt to whatever situation they're put into. If your boss loves football, are you really going to go in and talk about German expressionist art? I don't think so. I mean, you could, but you won't get the raise. The guy who plays fantasy football with him will be getting that raise. Save your authentic self for your friends and family because it's precious. To the rest of the world, lie your ass off wherever you need to. You would not believe the number of people who've told me about anime movies because I pretended to like them. I'm a diagnosed.
See, I'm sure she does play a lot of office politics. But in general, what she's saying isn't necessarily bad advice, but the way she says it, she goes too far with it. Like, yes, you should probably expand your interests to, relate better with other people. But not she's using it as a weapon.
Sociopaths, and this is how I spot fellow sociopaths. The first thing I look out for is eyes. We have dead eyes. I had to teach myself to blink more frequently so I wouldn't freak people out. There aren't many sociopaths around, let me tell you that. It's only...
Leave a comment below. Do I have dead eyes? I'm curious. Like, her eyes, they look kind of dead, but she uses so many filters. Everyone's eyes look fucking dead with all those filters.
1 to 4% of the population. And successful sociopaths are very hard to spot. Just like I shit test narcissists, I can shit test sociopaths. The way I do this is by saying something absolutely ridiculous and seeing if they'll mirror me. I tell them that I spend my free time knitting. Somehow they knit as well, or their uncle does. I also bring up a range of different emotions and see how they react to them. Since lying is second nature to us, I try to catch them out in one. The mask of sanity and kindness slips very fast at this point. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is how I spot fellow. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and these are the advantages I have in life. I have no guilt, so if I need to hurt someone to climb the corporate ladder, I'm probably going to do it. Not probably, definitely. Lying is like a second nature to me. My uncle and my grandmother have both died several times. Empathy doesn't get in the way of my success. I'm incredibly good at acting sympathetic, and I do get upset if people I love are going through things that are horrible, but that feeling won't last incredibly long with me. I am absolutely shameless and I can cry on cue. It came in handy when I did acting. I
agree with that one, Roger. You know, if you make yourself indispensable, no one's gonna really screw with you. Generally, the most valuable person in a room is the safest.
so many people suspended at school, even though it was really me who was acting up. I even pushed a girl down the stairs and then got her suspended. To be fair, she was calling my friend fat. Yeah, I know I need Jesus, but I'm still waiting for him to show up. I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and this is the worst thing I do, but I consider it an act of community service. I always have a profile on dating apps. I love to swipe right on married guys,
This is the cover story we were talking about.
especially when they're just showing their ring finger and not their face. I like to see where the conversation takes me and take plenty of screenshots. And I'm a very engaging person, so they do tend to continue their conversations with me. If you act sympathetic to their marriage woes, they will tell you anything you want. I may or may not get incriminating photos, and I may or may not send it to their significant other. So if you're cheating on your woman, consider me karma.
Again, we just heard her husband saying that she admitted to cheating on men in the past. And now, why are you going after men who cheat? Like, again, I think this all leads back to her issues with men, because if she's cheated in the past, that doesn't make any sense for her to be so worried about the wives. It's all just an attack on men.
Sociopaths don't see you as a human. Until you humanize yourself, you're an object. Unfortunately, the more human you are, the less sexy you are. An object is just a set of characteristics, and we do not understand you as a person.
Again, we can't put that past her, Roger. That's true. But I was thinking that she would just use the like, maybe on top of that, she uses the men to go out there and enjoy a nice restaurant, make them pay for everything, and then she just blocks them and never speaks to them again. One of those types of people.
Essentially, if we don't have to care about you and your wants, we won't. It sounds mean, but this is honestly how I've always thought. If you really want to be seen as human, find a way to relate to us personally. However, if I actually do like you as a person, I will do anything for you. I will build you up into the best person you can be. I've even been their employer to get them more jobs. I know the way I think is rare, but I don't understand why anyone would want to be attached to so many people. It's not easy for me to humanize you. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of collateral damage. If I ever mysteriously disappear and my grandma dies again, I'm really sorry.
All right, guys, today corporate.
Sociopaths don't.
Oh, looks like we ended that one. Hold on. There's a way to bring it back to her. From what we've seen so far, like, she's admitted to even more stuff that was in my video. Let's see if I can scroll all the way down here. Pros and cons of sociopathy. That's a good one to start on for sure.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of sociopathy. Because I have no anxiety, I go for job opportunities that I'm often not capable of and not qualified for. Somehow I always manage to get the job. If I get to the interview stage, I always get the job. Because I have no guilt or empathy, I will do whatever I need to get to the top. Some cons include my lack of consistency. I think there's been about 2 or 3 jobs where I just stopped turning up. I've gotten time off because my grandmother has died. My grandmother has now died 5 times. Unfortunately, she's still alive. I really wanted to work in the Whitsundays because it's just stunning. When I got there, I realized how old and boring everybody was, so I disappeared. In some
Things I've seen girls.
I'm a diagnosed sociopath, and I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of sociopathy.
Let's see. Let's find a good title. Probably gonna wrap it up here soon. Oh, she commented on Andrew Tate. Let's see what she has to say.
So this morning, I woke up to some very good news. The man that every male over the age of 10 is obsessed with and mentored by has gone to jail. But not just the usual SA, but for human trafficking. At this stage, he's only been arrested, but I hope he rots behind bars.
Last I checked, he still hasn't been charged with anything. Now, I have a friend in Romania, and what he says is that someone like Andrew Tate does not just get arrested. You know, when you at a certain level of rich and power with how corrupt Romania is, that just doesn't happen unless you piss off somebody else in the underworld in Romania. So whether or not he's actually a sex trafficker, I don't know. But he probably was doing something shady in Romania and pissed off the wrong people.
People are calling me the female Andrew Tate. All I advocate for is the liberation of women. I don't teach people how to domestically abuse others. Just some sneaky psychological tips. The fact that they're calling me a cult leader versus a man who literally is using women for his own monetary gain. Firstly, Hustlers University was just a pyramid scheme. Now, not only is he preaching hate towards women,
His Hustlers University thing is almost the same gimmick that you're doing on Cinderella's Revenge. Like, it's almost the same thing. Actually, yours is worse because you're actually letting people dox and harass people on yours.
he's committing the most heinous crimes against them. Alongside his brother. What a great family. I bet he regrets that jab at Greta Thunberg.
But yeah, she is being called the female Andrew Tate, and I agree. Just from her advice, it's similar sounding, just with a feminine lean on it.
Here's why I love being the villain. People say horrible things about me. I'm pretty used to that. But one thing's for sure. If you can't understand and experience darkness, you will never win at life. You'll always be on the back foot when someone does something horrible to you. You won't have coping mechanisms. Essentially, they're more prepared than you will ever be. I accept the dark thoughts that I have. I share them publicly, at quite a cost, might I add. I think I've hit the New York Post like 4 times. The Daily Mail lives to write about me. You need to accept the darkness and be in control of it. It's like keeping the gun in the holster and bringing it out when you need to. I've brought it out more often than I should. People that know me personally know there are no boundaries when it comes to revenge. If you go after me or somebody that I love, I will come at you full force. It always ends up being a fight to the death. You can sit there and turn the other cheek. I'll be coming for blood.
Interesting. A fight to the death. Now, the problem is with her, we don't know if that was literal or not. Diagnosed sociopath. Why we don't see you as human. Wow. That's a good one to end on. This will be our final one before I wrap it up.
Sociopaths don't see you as a human until you humanize
Now, actually, I want to say, I oftentimes don't see other people as a human. So, this is very relatable to me.
yourself, you're an object. Unfortunately, the more human you
Like, especially these lol cows. I really have an issue seeing them as human because they don't act like any other human I've ever seen before. Like, they're another species almost. Because how often do you see someone like Leah TV or Ian Foote out in real life? Very rarely.
are, the less sexy you are. An object is just a set of characteristics, and we do not understand you as a person. Essentially, if we don't have to care about you and your wants, we won't. It sounds mean, but this is honestly how I've always thought. If you really want to be seen as human, find a way to relate to us personally. However, if I actually do like you as a person, I will do anything for you. I will build you up into the best person you can be. I've even been their employer to get them more jobs. I know the way I think is rare, but I don't understand why anyone would want to be attached to so many people.
We'll watch one more. Like, I want to scroll down here. You can see how her appearance changes. That's really freaky. Like, you can create like a color palette for her. Let's go to her videos. Find a good ending one. She has a dating advice video. We'll watch that one. Because we've already heard some of it. I want to see her actual full-length coverage.
The carrot of your goal here is to drain his happiness and force him to work hard again for your attention. Your mission is to be morphine, addictive and hard to live without. It's time to take on the positive characteristics of ASPD, or as you know it, sociopathy and psychopathy, but without the negative aspects. I'm sick of seeing girls and women being crushed. Our sexuality has been weaponized against us. We're either whores or prudes, depending on whether we say yes or no, or depending on how bruised the man's ego is. It's time to take back that power. Sexuality is extremely potent. Your number one strategy is to dangle the carrot of possible sexual activity. You want to seem available, but just out
You want to weaponize your sexuality. That's fine. Most people do, I think.
of reach. Your walk, your style, your body language needs to exude sensuality. Femininity is something that's been used to keep us in our prisons, but men don't understand how easily we can use it to manipulate them. You want him to think if he behaves the right
I mean, it's actually, we're very well aware, okay, but sometimes it works out in our favor. So we have to play along. So we don't think we're not aware, though. I think most of us are. Past a certain age, you definitely are.
way, he will get laid. Men love to chase, but if the target seems completely impossible, they'll give up. They don't have the determination of their forefathers, so give them a glimmer of hope. Keep eye contact and tilt your head just a little. Bring attention to your favorite physical attributes, but most importantly, the mouth and the clavicle or collarbone. Dress in what you feel sexy in, not what the current trend is, though I would keep that in mind. If low cut tops are your thing, go for a more conservative skirt or pair of pants. And if your legs are what you want to showcase, rock that mini skirt, but pair it with a higher neckline. We want the right amount of skin. Make sure he is taking you out on high value dates, not a walk in the park or a cheap cup of coffee. You are an investment. You are the one that needs to be courted and spoiled if he wants something out of you. If you do not show value to yourself and you do accept the bare minimum, then that is all he's going to give you. Don't be too
Again, I don't know why she has such an issue with the manosphere. This sounds like stuff the manosphere says too, to a certain extent. So it's odd. She's in this really weird middle ground where she wants to be like this radical feminist type, but she's also saying the similar stuff to what that men's rights activist chick would say.
Dismissive if he touches you in a non-sexual way, unless you do feel uncomfortable. Assert your boundaries where they lie, but being completely closed off can send the wrong message that you have no interest in him, and a high value man will respect that and will respectfully stop pursuing you. A low value man will keep pursuing, but by this stage, we've kind of weeded him out. You're not meeting him at his house or in a park. Be ruthless when you are assessing him. I assure you, he has done the same. Males have no problems dehumanizing women. Your time is valuable. Your presence is a gift. See him as a set of characteristics and what he can offer you. If you want a pretty face to look at, someone to take you out to nice meals and high-end bars, or someone who can take care of you financially, there's no shame in that, as long as you are not being degraded. Whatever you want, assess the man to see if he possesses these qualities. If not, don't bother with him at all. Or string him along if you want attention. Use Pavlovian conditioning to...
Wow, he just came out and admit, string him along if you want attention. Again, this is how she views the world, and I think it's important to look at that, especially considering the way her husband acts. Like, this is who, like, she manipulated into marrying her, and it looks like he himself is already kind of broken down quite a bit just from watching that video where he was talking about how she cheats. Like, it's clear that she wants a partner she can control completely. So that's why anything that he says, I assume, is coming from her originally. And he's on her website under the name The Architect. So I've been kind of keeping track of him as well.
Control his behavior. If he does something that pleases you, like always making the first move, reward him with a dopamine hit of an enthusiastic conversation. If he takes you to your favorite restaurant without you having to ask, be all smiles and compliment him. Make him feel special. Conversely, if he gives you dry conversation, excommunicate him until he ups his game. It is not your job to chase him. If he offers a low effort date, let him know you're going to be busy for a while. Your goal here is to drain his happiness and force him to work hard again for your attention. Your mission is to be morphine, addictive and hard to live without. Don't be shy in alluding to your suitors, but don't make it seem you give out your valuable time without warrant.
Okay, this is terrible advice. Okay? Unless you are like a straight up 10, no one's going to put up with this. You're probably preaching to a bunch of average looking women who are going to try this and then end up 40 with cats.
Now, if you want to use actual sociopathic manipulation, it's time to find out his insecurities and keep them nearby for when you want to exert control. The way to do this is to love bomb him and share your own fake insecurities. If you come across as an open book and appear vulnerable, he'll share his vulnerability with you too. Tell him stories of your childhood, fictional.
So, her dating advice is to lie, basically. Just straight up lie. Give some fake insecurities out to make yourself look weak. Which, to be fair, I'm sure she's right. I'm sure this does work because most people are inclined to believe other people until proven otherwise.
Or not, whatever you're willing to give out, and wait for his. Find out what triggers his lower moods and anxiety. You need to be prepared to use this against him when the time comes. Love bombing is different when it comes to women. You do not want to creep him out by telling him that you want a house in the suburbs and 3 children. That kind of shit only works on women. By men. You are using your sexuality. You are making it seem like he's just shy of it, that he's in the process of getting to your bedroom, but with absolute subtlety.
See, this is why the manosphere tells you to sleep with her as soon as possible, or the games will never end. And this is the games they're talking about, right here. So, like, her side of the internet is at war with the manosphere, and the manosphere is responding back now. I think that's why her TikTok was banned.
You blow hot and cold. You shower him with realistic praise and understanding, and then vanish for as long as you need to fire up his anxiety, or as he will think of it, butterflies. Never tell a man what you're looking for. Fuckboys revel in getting a woman to let down her guard so he can conquer her and then move on. And that's something we want to completely avoid. Do not get sexual until he commits to you. Do not let him use you for your body. Do not give him anything without getting something in return. This kind of love bombing will create an unhealthy attachment to you in him. So do what you will with that power. If you get bored of him, drop him. Make sure you are seeing multiple men at any given time so that you do not humanize and get attached. False promises will come in handy. Again, men do this to us all the time. You need to dull your sensitivity to guilt and remorse over time as they do. Tell him.
Again, she preaches the concept of revenge. She's big into taking revenge on people. She even named her website Cinderella's Revenge. And that's what I think all of this is that she's trying to create a community to get back at all of the men that have treated her poorly in life. And like, I think that she's blaming men for a lot of things, and she just wants vengeance on the entire gender for her experiences.
All sorts of things that you can offer him, but never make good on the promises unless he is.
You go back further and you remember that video where she was talking about her childhood. She specifically mentioned like a lot of bad stuff about her father. Not so much from her mother, but she really mentioned that her father was a tyrant. I think it all connects.
Giving you exactly what you need out of your relationship. Genuine love in an idyllic world wouldn't be this hard to cultivate. And you could go right ahead and have sex with him on a first date and then go on and get married. We do not live in that world. You want power in relationships, and I'm offering it to you if you are able and willing. Only women seem to endure the emotional pain. It's time to share that burden.
Well, there you have it. There's your sociopathic dating advice. And I think that's how we're going to wrap it up today. And yes, getting old is her greatest fear, Roger. You see, she's been lying about her age. She's actually 29, going on 30. And this has been confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt. I think she herself has finally given up the charade. And yes, she's officially about to hit what the manosphere calls the wall. And she's not happy about it. That's why she made some video about some short talking about the wall. Oh yes, Burger Boy, welcome. Yes, you're coming in right as I'm wrapping it up. So, I'd say I would conclude by saying, ladies and gentlemen, please do not view dating in such a mercenary way. Okay? It doesn't have to be a constant game of chess trying to take power over one another. You know, it's a concept of or the whole concept of it would be to preferably find two people and form a connection. I know I know that doesn't quite gel with the manosphere and the femosphere views on dating, but maybe try that. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as is tradition. And I will see you next time.